Hi gamers, how are you doing? Are you in quarantine? Are you safe with your family? Please let me know in the comments. I'm in quarantine with my wife and our son for almost 6 weeks. It's been very cool to be with the persons that I most love in this world 24/7. But my kid misses his friends and playing with them, and for that reason it sucks a little. So, in this video, as you may have noticed by the title, I'm going to tell you guys why I love the Street of Rage series. Street of Rage 2 was the first game that I saw and played in the Sega Genesis. What a start that was! It was Street of Rage 2 that made me buy the Sega Genesis. But I bought the Sega Genesis with the first Sonic and the Mega Game 2 that had Street of Rage 1, Revenge of Shinobi and Golden Axe. I was in heaven with these games. I played a lot of Golden Axe and Street of Rage with my friends in 2-player mode. And despite having played first the Street of Rage 2, which in my opinion is by far superior, I also fall in love with Street of Rage 1. Compared to the second game, characters have a lot less moves, and didn't have any special move. We can call a police car that kills every enemy in the screen except the bosses. That is very cool. But despite having less moves, have no less moves than Final Fight or Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, for example. I also love the characters, the bosses, the gameplay, and especially the music made by Yuzo Koshiro. Even after playing and finish all Street of Rage, including 4, the first one is still in my opinion the one with the best music. The music when you fight the boss is amazing. A few months later, I finally bought Street of Rage 2, which is my opinion is still today the best side-scrolling beat'em up, better than any Final Fight, Punisher, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, Vendetta, Alien vs Predator, Warriors of Fate. I finished them all. But in my opinion, the gameplay, the music, the characters in Street of Rage 2 are miles and miles ahead of the competition. Some bosses in Street of Rage 2 have more moves than the main characters in Final Fight and Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, and almost as many moves as the main characters. The gameplay is wonderful. If we play in the harder difficulty, the game is very high, and the music gives even more hype to the gameplay. I really can't say nothing about the game, and even if I could, I wouldn't change anything. The game is perfect. I bought Street of Rage 3 in the release day. As I expected, I love the game, but it's a shame that Sega doesn't dedicate a few more months to the game development, because in some parts it seems incomplete. The game is great, the ideas are great, but the gameplay, for example, doesn't have the same feeling when we hit opponent. If you played Street of Rage 2 and 3, you know what I mean. In this game, all characters can run. The special moves are even better, but the game don't have the same... I don't know how to explain. The same magic, the same charm of Street of Rage 2. The level design is great, the music is good, but not as good as the previous ones. But, and this is very important, we can play with Shiva. That is a complete kick-ass boss character. I always dream about, if one day they make a Street of Rage 4, Shiva would be in our side, and we can play with him since the beginning, as a main character. Because in Street of Rage 3 he's just a secret character. I also didn't like the last level, because we fight a lot of robots and more robots. Even one of our characters' daughters is a robot. And I think Max were much better. Overall, I love Street of Rage 3, and in my opinion is still one of the best side-scroll beat'em ups ever, but not as good as the second one. And now gamers, after 26 years of waiting, we finally have a Street of Rage 4. When Street of Rage 3 was released, I was a kid who went to school every day, living in my parents' house. And now, in the release of Street of Rage 4, I have my own house, a wife that I love, a 5 years old kid that is my biggest treasure. I never imagined that a so successful franchise would take 26 years to see a sequel. I was not even 20 years old when Street of Rage 3 was released. Now I'm over 14. What do you think, gamers? Do you think when Street of Rage 5 comes out I will be a grandpa? Talking about Street of Rage 4, what can I say about a game that I waited for 26 years? I love the game. I will not compare the game with the old ones, because with almost 3 decades apart, the game obvious have many differences. The Street of Rage franchise has always been well known for its excellent gameplay and soundtrack. In both aspects, this game does not disappoint. If I could, I would change one thing or another, but overall I couldn't be happier. I didn't like that much the new characters, but to see new faces was not that bad. Adam is back and that was very cool. Now, do you remember when I talk I would love to see Shiva as a main character? So, in this game, it is not. But he called brother to Axel, and he's no longer an enemy. We fight against him, but it is a friendly fight. He and Max and have many special moves, so I hope we can play with both in the future DLC. I'm very happy with the final result, and I feel like I keep playing my favorite 16-bit franchise again. So gamers, do you also love the Street of Rage franchise, or do you prefer another one? I hope you liked the video and I see you soon. Take care, my friend.